Hello, I'm Dan with the George Memorial Library, and today I'll be covering how to use an Excel spreadsheet in order to organize your genealogy research. What I'm going to cover are the basics of a workbook and spreadsheet, how to create a spreadsheet for genealogy uses, and 3 examples of spreadsheets that I use the most often. A workbook contains multiple spreadsheets. For example, this workbook is named McFadden Family, and all my spreadsheets regarding the McFadden family are in this workbook. If you look at the bottom, you'll see you have several tabs. The first tab I have is a timeline. I also have a research plan and U.S. Census, and then there's a label for sheet 4. You can also add more sheets to it by clicking this icon here. Then you can name it whatever name you prefer. The way I begin is I select the headings to use. In this case, I'm going to use file name, date, location, description, source, citation. And you can always change or delete or add new headings as you find you need them. Next, I'll begin entering in the data I plan to use. First, I will name the worksheet. This one I'll call McFadden Edward When you finish with a heading, hit the Enter key and move to the next cell. There, you can continue adding the rest of the headings. When you're finished, you can format the sheet so it looks nicer and is easier to read. The first thing I'll do is to increase the cell size for most of the columns. Now, the first one, the cell for the name, is fairly small, so I will move up between the A and B until you get a black cross, and then click and drag your mouse to the desired length. You can do the same with date, location, and for cells with more information, you can give them more space. Next, I want to center and make bolder the title of the worksheet. You can do that by clicking on the cell, holding down the mouse and dragging it to the end of the sheet. Then you merge and center, so that will create one large cell and center in the title. From there, you can go up to font and increase the size. You can make it bold, put it in italics or underline, whichever way you prefer. And I like adding borders because for me, it also helps making it easier to follow. And if you print it out, I think it looks a little bit neater, especially if you have a lot of information. So again, I will click in the top cell I plan to use and then drag my mouse down as far as I want it to go. I'll go up here to the border box and I want to create all borders. Now, if you find that you need more borders, the easiest way to do that is to click and highlight one row. Move the mouse to the bottom right, click and then drag it, and it'll automatically create the more borders for you. Now, if you need to add another column or row, you can highlight the column or columns right-click, then click on Insert. It will move everything down and create the 3 new rows or columns. You can also highlight and delete rows and columns the same way. Another thing you can do is fill in information. For numbers, you do 1, 2, then click in box 1, hold the mouse and drag it over the 2, then click on the bottom right corner when it turns into the black plus and drag it. And it'll automatically fill in the numbers for you. You can also do it with the alphabet. However, it just repeats the whatever you typed in. You can also do that with years. So if you wanted to do it for census records, start with 1790, which was the first official census in the United States. Then 1800, and do the same. If you didn't add the second one, it would just duplicate it. So it would be all 1790. It'll also do the days of the week, the months, etc. You can also format a cell or a range of cells. You do this by selecting the ones you want to work with, then right-click and you'll open the Format menu. And you can do a number of things. You can say what kind of number you want to use, if it's just general, if it's currency for accounting, time and date, however you want to set up. You can also align, change the font, add borders, and other things as well. Now, most of these are also going to be available up here in the toolbar. Again, it's just whatever you prefer to use. I usually just go to the toolbar rather than opening up this window. Once you have entered in some of your data, you can create a table. To do that, you click on the top cell you want to include, in this case A1. Hold down the mouse and drag it until everything is shaded. From there, you click on Insert in the tabs, then go down and click on Table. You'll then get a box asking where you want the information for the table, and make sure that it's set up right, that it covers all the cells with your data entered. In this case, it's A1 to F7. Also, if your table has headers, check the box. In this case, it does. Then click on OK. This is what the table will look like, with every other row shaded. If you need to add more shaded rows, you do this like you did with the other example. You click on the bottom right corner, hold the mouse and drag it, and it will fill it in for you as far as you need it to go. You'll notice at the top of each column there's an arrow. Click on it and you can sort your lists. You can sort it A through Z, Z through A. You can also filter out what you want and don't want included. So if you want items starting A through M, just click on those and then unclick the others. Then click on OK and you'll get your list. Excel will also let you add photographs to a spreadsheet. I find this helpful to make an inventory of all photos and documents I have. That way I can send the list to various family members who request it, and they can select what they would like to receive a copy of. And again, you can just sort it by clicking on the arrow and sort by, in this example, M's for McFadden line, and everything that's in the McFadden family you can copy it and send it to the person requesting it. To add a photo or document, click the cell where you want the photo to be placed. Then click Insert in the menu bar. Next, click on the picture icon. Then select the folder you have the photo in. It could be on the desktop, in a drive, wherever you have it. And then click on the appropriate file. Then Insert. The photo will appear larger than the space you have set for it. So click on the circle at the bottom right, hold the mouse button, and drag it up. Then it will appear in the cell, and you can move on to the next one. Now I'm going to go over how to name your files. It's generally recommended that you use the name of the subject, date and place if known, the event, then create a file number. Here's an example of one. 1940, September 15th, Webb, Clyde, McFadden, Ruth, Baltimore, Maryland, 0005. Unfortunately, most of my photos are not labeled. They have no names, no locations, no identifying information. So what I generally use is something like this with the name and then a number. So I put in Webb, Clyde, McFadden, Ruth, family, 0003. For unknown or mystery photos, I'll use something like this. Unknown, women, then how many there are, in this case 2. Dog, in front of house, 0001. This will make it easier to find if you're looking for it and don't know who's in it, where it was, or what time period it was taken. Here are some examples of the spreadsheets that I use for my genealogy research. The first one is a timeline. These are very helpful, keeping your research organized and in one location. So this one is for Edward McFadden and Alice Collum, who were born in Ireland, and they came to the U.S. sometime around 1850. So I have all the information that I have found so far. They were in Ohio in the 1860 and 70 census. And then there's some more information from a pension application for their son, John McFadden's Civil War service. And then their death information. I don't have much else on them. Now I know where to take up the search. When you start doing your research, you need a good plan. So here is a worksheet. You include the name of the person or family being searched. And then include the objective. Are you trying to find death information, when they immigrated, etc.? It's important not to put too much on here and just focus on one or two fairly specific topic. And then you can include the known facts. This one and the timeline were very helpful whenever I traveled to do some research. The last one I want to go over is the spreadsheet for comparing data. This is from the U.S. Census, starting with the 1840 up to 1870. Here I searched for Joseph R. Sample, and I was able to find information in the 1840 to the 1870 census. The 1840 does not include names. This was still when they were doing age ranges. 1850, they started using names, and it becomes much easier. But I color code it in order to follow who I think is the same person. So the first one is Joseph Sample. In 1840, he's from 20 to 29. 1850, he's listed as 41, which is close enough, assuming he was about 30 in 1840. 1860, 51, and then 1870, he's missing. Most likely, he died at some point between 1860 and 1870, and Elizabeth is the widow. Then there's a free white female, again 20 to 29, and 34, 44, and 54. The next one is a free white female, age 10 to 14. She's missing in the 1850 census, so either she died or she's married in her own household. Then there's a free white child under 5, 13. She's missing from 1860, and then in 1870, it looks like she moved back into the household of her mother, most likely because she was widowed. And you can do the rest with you can do similar comparisons with the rest of the family. And a lot of it lines up, so most likely this is the correct family. Unfortunately, it's not always clear-cut like the previous example. Here is one where we have the 1820, 30, 40, and 50 census. The 1820 through 40, again, they're using age ranges, so no names, except for the head of household. And we have some possibilities. In 1830, there's a free white male under 5, and he could be one of these two, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. Then in 1850, it could be Samuel, age 22, or James, 25. We have a free white male under 10. So assuming he was about 5, this could be him in 1830. He disappears from 1840 and 50 census. Again, could have died or married and is in his own household. Then here's another white male and disappears again in 1850. It looks like they moved around quite a bit, which may be a bit unusual. They started out in Bedford, Tennessee, Benton, Alabama, Hamilton, Tennessee, and then Benton, Alabama again. It's possible that the family in the 1830 and 1850 census are the same, since they're both in Benton, Alabama. And the 1820 and 1840 census are different families. I'll definitely need to do more research and find more records to indicate before I can decide if this is the same family or not. Another thing you can do to make comparing records easier is to color code your entries. I color coded the cells of people who might be the same person. I like to color the text. So in this case, there's a free white female, 15 to 20, who then disappears. And then down here is another free white female. This one's 30 to 40. So either she disappeared or it's possible that she is this person here. Again, I haven't found any other evidence that would back that up. In order to highlight your data, you have two options. You can fill the selected cells with color, or you can color just the text. And the way you do that is highlight the cells you're interested in. Click on the arrow to the right of the icon, and then select the color you want the cell or the text to be. The important part is to note what the color means and stay consistent with it across all your files. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been helpful and given you some new ideas on how to organize your genealogy research.